My girlfriend's mom asked why we weren't engaged yet. She said, "I'm not ready to close doors. What if someone better comes along?" I was walking upstairs with groceries and heard everything. I left the bags and her house key on the counter. Someone better did come along, her sister. You never forget the moment you realize you were just someone's placeholder. For me, it was a quiet Saturday afternoon. I was walking upstairs, arms full of groceries, thinking about the ring I had been secretly saving up for. And then I heard her voice, not in anger, not in pain, just casual honesty. "I'm not ready to close doors. What if someone better comes along?" Her mom had asked about marriage, and that was her answer. I stopped mid-step, frozen, my heart pounding louder than my footsteps. She didn't even know I was there. I listened to her doubt me, dismiss me, and discuss my replaceability with a smile. I didn't storm in. I didn't yell. I just walked the rest of the way up, placed the grocery bags on the counter, pulled my key off the ring, and left it beside them. No note. No goodbye. No explanation. Because sometimes, the most powerful response is silence. And fate. It had a wicked sense of irony. The someone better she joked about, the person who truly saw my worth, turned out to be living just down the hall. Her sister. I was balancing 2 overstuffed grocery bags when I reached the top of the stairs. Her front door was cracked open, just enough to hear voices. I wasn't eavesdropping. I wasn't trying to catch anything. I just paused for a second, adjusting my grip. That's when I heard her mom's voice, casual and curious. "So, why hasn't he proposed yet?" It made me smile for a moment. I'd been thinking the same thing. Not why I hadn't proposed, but how. When. I'd been saving, planning, trying to find the right time. Then came her answer. Not hesitation. Not nervous laughter. Just a cold, calculated line that hit harder than anything I'd ever expected. "I'm not ready to close doors. What if someone better comes along?" The silence after that was deafening. No one corrected her. Her mom didn't even seem surprised. They just moved on, like it was a perfectly reasonable thing to say about the man carrying her groceries upstairs, the man who'd been there through every family gathering, every crisis, every quiet moment in between. My arms suddenly felt heavier. My breath caught in my throat. I realized I was standing in a hallway carrying more than groceries. I was holding up a relationship she saw as temporary. I stepped inside, walked straight to the counter, and set everything down gently. Then I pulled my key from my pocket, placed it on top of the receipt, and turned around. No goodbye. Just the quiet decision to stop holding up a future she never planned to build with me. As I stood there, frozen on the stairs just a few steps from the open door, those words echoed like a slow-motion explosion in my mind. What if someone better comes along? It wasn't a joke. It wasn't followed by laughter or even hesitation. It was a genuine statement, delivered with the same casual tone you'd use to comment on the weather. And the worst part wasn't that she said it, it was how naturally it came out of her mouth, like she'd been holding on to that idea for a long time and finally felt comfortable enough to say it aloud. Her mom had asked her a simple question, why we weren't engaged yet, and instead of saying we were still figuring it out, or that she was waiting for the right time, she dropped a grenade of truth I wasn't meant to hear. I'd been with this woman for years, through highs and lows, building what I thought was a real future. And in one sentence, she reduced our relationship to a temporary situation, a placeholder, a just-in-case option until her dream man showed up. She didn't stutter. She didn't correct herself. She didn't even sound guilty. She spoke like she was discussing a backup plan, not the person who'd just spent the entire day running errands for her, picking up groceries, making time between work shifts just to make her life easier. I felt small. Smaller than I'd ever felt before, not because of what she thought, but because I finally realized she'd never taken me seriously in the first place. That line didn't just hurt. It exposed everything. I didn't yell. I didn't storm in and demand an explanation. I didn't even drop the bags in anger. I just walked through the door silently, like a ghost gliding past the life I thought I was a part of. She didn't notice me at first. She was too busy scrolling through her phone while her mom washed dishes and hummed in the kitchen like nothing earth-shattering had just been said. My presence went unseen, just like my worth had been for far too long. I placed the grocery bags carefully on the counter. Milk, eggs, pasta, the almond creamer she liked, everything she'd asked me to pick up. Then, I took out my keys. I held them for a second, just looking at them. Those keys had unlocked her front door more times than I could count. I had let myself in with them when she was sick. I'd used them to surprise her with takeout and movie nights. They had weight, history. But in that moment, they were just metal, cold, meaningless. I set them down beside the groceries and didn't say a single word. No note, no dramatic speech, just silence. That was all I had left to give. She finally looked up, confused, maybe sensing something was off, but by then I was already walking away. The same stairs where I stood frozen just minutes before became my path out. Every step was a release. Every breath felt lighter. She didn't chase me. Maybe she didn't realize yet that I was leaving for Real. That I wasn't just upset, I was done. That quiet goodbye was more final than any slammed door or shouted accusation. Because it was honest, peaceful, and irreversible. The first few hours felt surreal. I kept checking my phone, not because I wanted to hear from her, but because part of me couldn't believe she hadn't tried. No message. No call. Not even a confused, "Where are you?" The silence wasn't just absence, it was confirmation. Confirmation that she didn't notice I was gone, or worse, didn't care enough to fix it. And in that stillness, the weight of everything I'd heard kept replaying in my mind. What if someone better comes along? Those words echoed louder with every tick of the clock. I imagined her laughing with her mom, brushing it all off like a harmless joke. Maybe she thought I'd be back once I cooled off. Maybe she underestimated what I heard. But what she didn't realize was, I wasn't angry. I was awakened. I spent the next day at a buddy's place. No drama, no venting. Just existing somewhere I didn't feel second best. I looked around at the room I was crashing in and felt more peace on that couch than I had in her entire apartment. I didn't owe her a dramatic exit or an emotional plea. I'd given everything. My time, my care, my consistency, and she reduced it to, "He'll do for now." She didn't know it yet, but the silence she left hanging between us wasn't space for reconciliation. It was space for realization. Hers, eventually. But more importantly, mine. I wasn't just gone. I was free. The woman who had once questioned my place in her daughter's life was now suddenly invested in salvaging it. After the fallout, her mom started calling me. Not once, not casually, but with a sense of urgency that bordered on desperation. She wanted to clarify what had been said, that her daughter's words were just taken out of context, that everyone says stupid things sometimes. But there was no context in which, "What if someone better comes along?" sounds like love. Her tone was apologetic, almost motherly, like she hadn't been the one who helped plant the seeds of doubt in her daughter's head in the first place. It was wild, really. The same woman who had passively encouraged her daughter to keep her options open was now trying to convince me not to close mine. She admitted, in a roundabout way, that her daughter had been immature. That she hadn't realized what she had. That sometimes people say the wrong things and don't mean them. But the thing is, she meant it. I heard it. And her mom had heard it too, and said nothing until the damage was done. Now she wanted to patch things up with pleasantries and promises that it won't happen again. But I wasn't interested in rewinding. I wasn't angry anymore, just resolved. Because some cracks aren't worth filling. And this was a fracture rooted in truth, a truth they both had to live with. She always had this quiet way about her. The sister, I mean. Not loud. Not flashy. The kind of presence that didn't demand attention but somehow held it anyway. I'd seen her at enough family gatherings to know she noticed things others missed. She was polite, thoughtful, and surprisingly intuitive. We'd never spent much time alone, but there were always those subtle glances, the way she'd shake her head when her sister took a joke too far or mutter something like, "You deserve better," when her mom threw one of her passive-aggressive jabs. After I walked away and the silence settled, it wasn't my ex who reached out first. It was her sister. A message that simply said, "I heard what happened. Just, wow. I'm sorry." No pressure. No attempt to mediate. Just honesty. And for once, I responded. What started as a short exchange turned into a deeper conversation. She wasn't just being kind, she was genuinely outraged, not just by what was said, but by how long I had tolerated being undervalued. She admitted she'd always wondered how I stayed so calm under her family's subtle disrespect. She'd seen me carrying the emotional weight that her sister didn't even acknowledge. And in the comfort of that conversation, something began to unfold. A connection not built on rebound or revenge, but on mutual understanding. She saw what her sister had overlooked for years, not just my presence, but my value. And that truth, once quietly held between the lines, finally had room to breathe. It began slowly, nothing romantic, nothing complicated. Just two people talking, two people healing. After everything that happened, I wasn't looking to fall into something new. I was still untangling myself from the weight of being someone's backup plan, still learning how to breathe without questioning my worth. But somehow, every conversation with her sister made things feel lighter. We weren't rushing into anything. It was late-night chats, coffee meetups, random check-ins just to say, "Hope you're okay." It felt like friendship, the kind that didn't ask for anything in return. But friendship has a way of evolving when it's real. She saw me, not the version molded by expectations, not the guy compared at family dinners, but me. She noticed the things I never said aloud. She'd laugh at my dry humor, catch the moments when I drifted, and pull me back with a single word. And I saw her, too, how different she was from her sister. Grounded, self-aware, kind, but not a pushover. The day I realized something had changed was quiet. No grand gesture. No kiss under fireworks. Just a conversation on a park bench that lingered longer than it needed to. I looked at her and thought, this feels right. Not flashy. Not dramatic. Just real. We hadn't planned it, hadn't even talked about it. But somehow, through honesty, patience, and mutual respect, we had built something steady, something that didn't need fixing or forcing. We started as friends. But what we found was something my ex never even knew how to hold. When she found out I was spending time with her sister, not just casually, but consistently, everything shifted. The woman who once said, "What if someone better comes along?" now suddenly remembered what she had lost. And not because she missed me, but because she hated the idea that someone else saw my worth before she could reclaim it. It wasn't love she came back with. It was ego. It was panic. It was a bruised pride trying to rewrite the story after the ending had already been written. She texted first, "We should talk." Then came the call. And when I didn't answer, she showed up. No apology. No ownership. Just, "I made a mistake. I didn't mean what I said." But the problem wasn't just what she said, it was that she meant it when she said it. She truly believed I was something she could settle for. She only wanted me back when she saw I had become something someone else truly valued, not as a placeholder, but as a choice. She cried. She begged. She asked me if I could give her another chance, swearing that this time she knew better. But I'd already spent months healing from the version of myself she left behind. I had found peace, not just in someone new, but in the person I had become after walking away. Her regret came too late. Because by the time she wanted me again, I didn't want her at all. She told her friends her sister stole me. That narrative was easier to digest than the truth. But what really happened? Her sister didn't steal anything. She found me where I was left, forgotten, underestimated, quietly heartbroken but still standing. I wasn't someone that could be taken. I was someone she walked away from the moment she said she wasn't ready to close doors in case someone better came along. Her sister just happened to be the one person who saw what she threw away and chose to treat it with care. It wasn't instant. Her sister and I talked, really talked, like two people who had both seen the damage selfish choices can do. She never crossed lines. She never made it weird. It started as respect, grew into understanding, and slowly became something unshakably real. While one sister weighed my worth against hypothetical men, the other saw me for who I actually was: loyal, kind, consistent, and enough. We didn't sneak around. We didn't hide. We moved with grace because neither of us wanted a relationship built on spite. But when love finds you through honesty, not desperation, it doesn't need to be justified. It just is. And that's what hurt my ex the most, that her sister didn't take something from her. She simply loved what she left behind. She always said she wasn't ready to close doors, that she needed time, space, options. But what she never realized was that by keeping every door open, she let the most important one close without even noticing. The door to trust, to commitment, to something real. I walked out of that door not out of anger, but out of clarity. I didn't slam it. I didn't lock it. I just stepped through it and never looked back. She thought I'd wait, that I'd sit patiently on the other side while she figured out if I was the one, or just another stop along the way. But life doesn't work like that. Love doesn't work like that. You can't treat someone like a placeholder and expect them to stay rooted. When I left my key on the counter that night, it wasn't just about what I'd heard, it was about everything it represented. I wasn't a maybe. I wasn't a backup plan. I was someone who deserved certainty. And the irony? While she was busy weighing her options, someone else saw my worth with no hesitation. Someone who didn't need to see what else was out there to realize what was already in front of her. So no, I didn't lose anything when I walked out. I found something better. Because she kept the doors open. And I simply chose the one that led to freedom.